And welcome to the Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team. As always, they're our title sponsor. We appreciate them supporting us. And Murphy Fair, I am excited, and I know a lot of fans were excited that week one is now in the books.
It's in the books, and there was a lot of question marks as we approached last Thursday, in some cases Friday and others, as to whether or not it would happen. We've got that same fear, if you will, or question mark this week. Already some games canceled across not only our viewing area here, but all across the state. It's going to be a week-to-week thing, just like it was last year, Terry.
Murph, when you look at our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports, it was the rivalry, Smith County and Gordonsville. Statistically, when you look, as we said going into the ball game, we felt like Smith County would have to rush the football effectively. But the big thing that killed the Owls was those 11 penalties. Seemed like every time they got a drive started, either a false start or a holding call really hurt their momentum.
I thought all in all, Terry, the game was actually a little bit closer than I expected it to be. I think probably most figured Gordonsville would win the ball game, and they did. But I was really pleased, I think, with the way Smith County played. Their offense looked a whole lot better than I was expecting, and I know Coach Dyer probably wasn't real pleased with the outcome, but I think there were some great spots, if you will, that he could look back on and be pretty proud in his first game as a head football coach.
We want to thank KFC Taco Bell of Gordonsville and Smithville for bringing us the stat breakdown. But when you look, Gordonsville unable to run the football, 21 rushes, -7 yards, but passing the football, very effective. Matthew Albritton, 13 of 19, 215 yards. Their ability to throw the football, we said it in last week's show, was the big difference.
Yeah, and I thought too that maybe up front in the trenches, the Gordonsville squad maybe a little bit stronger there. But all in all, pretty good ball game, and you can't help but wonder how much emotion, how big a role emotion plays in a game like that. It's always the biggest game as far as those two schools are concerned. But nonetheless, I think they both can walk away from that, or were able to walk away with that, feeling good about some of the things that they did in the season opener.
Let's go ahead and look at some highlights from the game. The first one's going to be on the black and gold side of the ball as Kylan Johnson with a 31-yard run. One of the highlights, of course, he did not play a year ago, Murphy, but, showed some good speed, some good stamina, to get the football. And I think that's one thing Coach Dyer is going to have to do is get the football in number 21's hand a little bit more often.
Not only did he have good speed, he had good power. There were a couple of missed tackles there on Gordonsville's part simply because his legs maybe were a little bit stronger than that of the would-be tackler.
Let's look at some blue and white highlights now. Of course, Landon Baker in the first half, the only score that we had in the first half, gives Gordonsville a 6-0 lead, a little pass out in the flats, and he did a great job, I thought, vision-wise, and just shows you his speed. Murph, that's where the Owls have kind of lack, I guess, that ability where they don't have a whole lot of speed. And Baker, of course, grandfather, the former Donnie Baker, that was the girls basketball coach back in the 80s for Gordonsville. That was a big moment for Jay's son, Landon.
I know he was, Coach Clemens had to be pleased with the score, but I'm sure there was some finger in someone's face about that taunting the would-be tackler. I was really surprised there wasn't a flag thrown on that play.
Most of the time that we've seen in years past, they not only throw the flag, but they take the touchdown away, Murph, and mark it off, which happened about the 15-yard line. But that was a key no call that went the Tigers' way. Not saying they would or would not have scored, but that was a possibility, and I'm sure that's been addressed by the Gordonsville coaching staff this week.
I would say very much so.
Murph, looking at Luke Dillon, a player that we saw some for last year for the Owls. He breaks loose on a 21-yard run. Good vision right here, and, did a good job of just getting everything he could get.
Apparently the hole that he was supposed to run through wasn't there, and you're right, he did a great job, I think, of picking his running lane, if you will. He found the opening there a little farther outside and made a nice gain out of something that could have been a loss early on.
When you look at the Gordonsville highlight, their second touchdown, it came after a long pass play, if you remember on 4th down, Murphy, that Albritton found his man across the middle for about a 30, 35-yard gain. And then Trayson Davis on the speed sweep sweeps around left end and gets Gordonsville their second score, which I think was on the final play of that third quarter. And just once again shows you the speed. Gordonsville with Davis has a weapon that they didn't have a year ago. He stayed hurt a lot, but I think he will be a key for the Tigers this year.
If he can stay healthy throughout the season, that could make for a really successful year for Coach Clemens and the rest of the Gordonsville football family.
When you look at an Owl turnover here, I think it was the only pass interception of the game. The Owls did get a couple of fumbles. One of those came at the 40-yard line, but this was just a poorly thrown ball. They tried to get the ball to Colin Johnson, and Baker comes up and picks it off. A lot of your defensive backs don't see man and ball, but he had dropped in his zone there, Murph, and caught the errant throw.
You mentioned Donnie Baker's name. I know he's got to be awfully proud looking down on his grandson,
Right.
The game that he had both offensively and defensively. I think the Baker kid's going to be a big part of the Gordonsville attack this year for sure.
Well, when you look at that Huff and Puff trucking game of the week that we had, that rivalry, everybody I talked to thought it was going to be a low-scoring ball game with the Tigers winning from 1 to 2 touchdowns. I think I picked it 21-7 Gordonsville. I had a friend of mine that picked it 14-0. Of course, he was one of the first texts I get after the ball game. Hey, I told you what it was going to be. But when you look at that, it was just Gordonsville's ability to throw it, the Owls' inability to get much done in the passing game, and then those mistakes with those penalties really hurt Smith County's ability to drive the football.
I think first game jitters and like I said earlier, just the emotional factor in that game. It's the biggest game of the year, whether you play it early or play it late. And you and I had a conversation last week about, it's nice to see that game being the first game of
Right.
the season for both teams like it was for so many years.
Let's look at our area recap. DeKalb County at Warren County, of course, didn't get to play because of COVID. They're shut down for 10 days. The entire Warren County, you just got to hope everybody gets better there, Murph, and hopefully they can get back on the field. I know they're anxious to be there. Watertown and Fayetteville, a game that a lot of people were thinking was going to be a little bit more one-sided than it was. That was maybe about a one-score game there in the second half. When you look at Cousineau, he is the driver of the bus. Of course, I think he's a 3-year starter, and it's a new cast of characters kind of for Coach Gavin Webster and his team, because you don't see a Quintarius Hughes Malone or some of the outstanding athletes they've had at those skill positions, Mark.
Had a big senior class last year, and Fayetteville did not. Fayetteville was a very young football team last year. As those who may have watched the 1A championship game, the young man who stole the show as far as running backs for Fayetteville was concerned was only a freshman.
Right.
And so they're going to be pretty strong for a while to come. But it's a good measuring stick, and I know Coach Webster came away from that game obviously would have preferred the score been the other way around, but I think he probably learned a lot about his football team in that game.
Well, you look at Adam Cooper, leading rusher for them, 10 rushes, 56 yards and a touchdown, and a big day, big night for Caden C. Down in Lincoln County, 7 receptions, 100 yards and a touchdown. So he could be that go-to target that Braden Cousineau is looking for.
More than half the passes that Cousineau completed were to Caden C. So obviously we're gonna hear his name again quite often, I think, this year.
Let's go ahead and look at Cannon County and Monterey. Of course, Murph, I know you're kind of hometown school there, Cannon County. They got behind 35-0, wound up losing 35-6 in a game that we thought may be a little bit closer.
I thought so, although Monterey has moved up to 2A and probably a little better football team than we might have thought, because I really thought that was going to be a 1 or 2 touchdown game, whichever way it went. Obviously, it didn't fare very well for the Lion football team, but they really need to just put that one behind them and move on to bigger and better things. They've got Cascade this week, and we'll talk about that one a little bit more as well.
We'll take a look at the region scores when we return to the box score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com. Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master maintenance technicians, maintenance trainer, electricians, miners, mill operators, mill technicians, warehouse attendant, business analyst, mine supervisor, and other amazing opportunities. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and much more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
Powell & Metals Insurance, in business since 1894, provides knowledgeable and personal service to our clients. One call puts you in touch with a local agent who will help you shop from a variety of top companies. At Powell & Metals Insurance Agency, we work for you. Call today or visit us online anytime.
We are here to help you. Let us show you what customer service is all about. Give us a call today.
Does the service from your security company leave you feeling uncertain? Like us, you want to feel good about your security company because your home and family safety is so important.
For just $99.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3-window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and 3 months of monitoring. It's super easy to get started.
You're ready for local security service. Give us a call or visit DTC online and discover our local values today.
And welcome back to the Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team. Murphy Fair and Terry Collins. Murphy's their second show, and I'm excited because high school football is back, but we're getting into some games, like some big rivalry games. And I guess when we look at this Region 4-1A, at some of the scores, I know these schools are excited. Of course, Red Boiling Springs and Webb didn't get to play. You got Joe Burns over Harpeth, and you've got Clay County over Jackson. I don't think there's anything really surprising about the scores from that region.
Maybe the first one there. Joe Burns, traditionally a stronger team than that, and I think Harpeth probably is a little bit better football team maybe than we thought. I know last year the Harpeth Indians only dressed out about 25 kids.
Right.
The numbers got dangerously low, and that's why they're in 2A this year. But nonetheless, a good win for Joe Burns to get the season started. In Clay County, they gave Gordonsville all they wanted last year, and it looks like they're going to be pretty good. Coach Johnson doing a great job up there in Salina.
Let's go ahead and look at our Sonic of Carthage Region 4 2A scores. Macon County, a big win over East Robinson. Of course, East Robinson got one of the premier players in the state, Murphy. But you can't do it by yourself. But I think Kyle Shoulders in Macon County looking to have a great year.
One of the early 7-on-7 camps that was held in Shelbyville back in early July, there were a lot of high school football teams over there, some 6A teams too, and Macon County came away the winner of that thing. So that told me right then and there that Coach Shoulders was going to throw the football a lot and throw it very effectively, and that's obviously what happened. The Taylor kid probably responsible for one, if not both of those touchdowns, but Macon County 4A, East Robertson 2A, and that's part of the reason it's so one-sided there.
Of course, we talked about Joe Burns and Harpeth. The one that everybody kind of had their eye on was Trousdale County and Friendship. Trousdale County gets a fumble, the first one, first turnover in 2 years. Of course, you remember back last year, Murphy Friendship won on the Creek Bank 10-7. Trousdale scores with 57 seconds to go to win that ball game 12-10.
That's a sign of a team that never quits.
Right.
And Trousdale County's kind of been known for that over the years, and obviously they pulled one out, and a huge win for Coach Satterfield and his young football team.
Let's look at the Sonic of Carthage Region 4 3A scores. Of course, we've already touched on that Monterey and Cannon County score. Lewis County winner over Community 35-14. Giles County in a shootout with their border rival Lincoln County. You know, it's not far from Pulaski to Fayetteville, Murphy, and that's always one of those grudge matches. 51-35, and then Marion County, a big win over Grundy County.
Interestingly enough, the coach at Giles County, David O'Connor, went to Lincoln County High School, so he had a little extra ammunition or emotions in that ball game anyway. It's a 3A school beating a 5A school, and Lincoln County just hasn't been the same football team once Fayetteville City opened. It's been a different situation. And then Marion County with a huge win over Grundy. I think Marion County may be a team that challenges Meigs County in that 2A bracket once we get around to the postseason in November.
When you look traditionally, Murphy, out of the east side of the state, that is two schools that you've got to go through if you want to go this year to Chattanooga.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Marion much stronger than they have been in the past. Interestingly enough, Coach Pruitt, who led the Volunteers the last few years, his father is the head football coach at Marion County High School. So I'd be very safe in saying I think he knows his football pretty well. Maybe his son didn't learn from him quite as much as he should have.
Let's go and look at the Region 5 3A Sonic scores. And you look, Father Ryan, a big win over East Nashville. I was a little surprised, Murphy, at the spread of that game.
Yeah, I think Father Ryan may be the surprise. They, if I'm not mistaken, finished first or second in the Riverdale 7-on-7 scrimmage. And Ryan has not traditionally thrown the football a lot, but apparently, based on what I've heard about 7-on-7 situations this summer, they're going to do that a lot. And that's after they lost a pretty good quarterback to graduation last year.
Other scores in Region 5 3A, Maplewood over Hunters Lane. Of course, we talked about the Clay County, Jackson County. That's a pretty big rival, especially in basketball. And then Stratford a win over Whites Creek there, 45-12.
Maplewood and Stratford, two teams that are in Smith County's region, and those are going to be very difficult games. I know both of those teams are loaded up with speed.
Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 4A Sonic of Carthage scores. Of course, the big one that jumps out to me is the Upperman win over Cookeville. They played that game at Tennessee Tech. That was a 7-0 game, Murphy, at halftime. But the Bees looking pretty strong to go into Cookeville there and get a big win.
I think Adam Kane is one of the most underrated high school football coaches in the state. He does such an incredible job with Upperman. Always a huge rivalry between those two. And thought Upperman lost a pretty good senior class last spring, but apparently he's got those kids ready, and Upperman is certainly going to be a factor in that particular region this year.
Cumberland County over Whitwell, White County over Livingston. Livingston continues to struggle. Of course, there's Macon win over East Robinson. Lenore City, a big win over Stone Memorial. So, you know, when you look at that, those scores, Murphy, I don't know that there's anything that was, you know, really not what we thought was going to happen.
Probably not. The White County score surprises me a bit. Coach Frazier has been working in a rebuilding mode the last couple of years, and I'm not so sure that maybe White County is going to be for real this year. He's played a lot of young kids the last couple of years, and I think they were scheduled to play Warren County this week, but that game I think also has been canceled as well.
Let's go ahead and look at some notable games. Beach over Farragut, a big win for a former York guy, Murph. Anthony's done a great job down in Buccaneerville.
He really has, and there were a lot of people thinking that maybe Beach was going to take it on the chin, but Anthony Crabtree's not taking anything on the chin at all, and Beach is going to be a player because Farragut's traditionally one of the better large schools out of the Knoxville area, and for Beach to beat them a couple of touchdowns, I think speaks volumes.
Murph, fundamental smash mouth football.
That's it.
That's Beach Buccaneer football.
From start to finish, and if you don't give a good effort from start to finish, there'll be somebody on the sideline taking your play.
Lipscomb Academy, wow, big win for them over Greater Atlanta Christian out of Georgia, 76-7.
I picked Lipscomb to win that game, but not by 69 points. Trent Dilford obviously has that upcoming game next week with CPA on his mind and wanted to show that Lipscomb was for real, and obviously they are.
CPA, a big win over Independence, Murphy, and also Summit, the margin of victory over Henry County.
Another team that moved from the 5A ranks to the 6A ranks, and Summit actually beat Henry County in the semifinals last year. Not quite that bad, but they made the two coaches kind of made a deal of sorts that they'd go ahead and open the season. Last year's semifinal game between those two was the first meeting ever between Summit and Henry County, and I'm thinking Coach Counts of Henry County may be thinking, maybe I shouldn't have scheduled that game after all.
I think it'll make them better down the road, though. Really, I do.
Certainly.
We'll look at the upcoming games, including the region games of interest when we return to the box score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and Auction and the Josh Kirby team.
Catch coverage of high school football action on DTC Sports each week. Watch DTC3 every Friday night at 6:45 or online at dtc3.tv for football game night as DTC Sports presents the area's best games. Watch this week as the Cannon County Lions host the Cascade Champions. Football game night all season long on DTC Sports.
The Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition encourages our teenagers to be the positive influence. Stand against the epidemic of opioid and stimulant usage by joining the Youth Coalition #TakeBackTeam. 6% of Smith County students reported misusing prescription drugs. The #TakeBackTeam challenges you to stand outside the stack. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell. Located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master maintenance technicians, maintenance trainer, electricians, miners, mill operators, mill technicians, warehouse attendant, business analyst, mine supervisor, and other amazing opportunities. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and much more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the box score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and Auction, the Josh Kirby team. And now we get to look at the upcoming games, and we're always excited about that. We'll look at the matchups. We'll look at Region 4 1A first. And when you look at that one, that top one, Murphy, that's a rivalry.
Kind of stands out, doesn't
right.
it?
Gavin Webster, former Gordonsville alum, now coaching at Watertown, been there a long time. You've got Josh Hackett as his defensive coordinator. He knows a little bit about the Smith County-Gordonsville rivalry, but a similar rivalry. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Gordonsville's 2 biggest rivals are the Owls and the Purple Tigers.
Oh, no doubt about it, Terry. And to have those as your first 2 games of the season, nothing like a little pressure, right? There are people in Gordonsville, but as long as you win those 2 games, the rest of it doesn't matter. But I look for that one to be a pretty good ball game. They've got a great facility, as you all know, that have been making that trip. Now they have an indoor facility at Watertown that is second to none. And things over there, I'm really happy for Coach Webster and what that program has turned out to be.
Murphy, I think it'll be a good measuring stick for both teams.
Sure.
Because Gordonsville really doesn't know where they're at. I mean, they lost a lot of people. Yes, they got a win over the Owls last week, but in Watertown, played a very tough opponent into what could be the premier team in 1A, defending champ Fayetteville. So that should be a good one. Of course, Red Boiling Springs looking for a win when they head to the Tennessee Heat. I think that's a home school team.
Yeah, that's the last one, Clay County and Clinton County, Kentucky. That's kind of a border war. Is it Albany, I think?
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's where Clinton County is located, but I don't look for that to be much of a ball game. Joe Burns probably won't be that big a game to watch. I don't know anything at all about the Tennessee Heat because it's, like you said, it's a homeschool team, and don't really know a whole lot about anything that team has.
Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 2A matchups. Of course, we talked about Gordonsville, West Watertown, but Westmoreland and Macon County, that is always a rival game. Of course, West Side, which kind of separates, it's right on the very western end of Macon County, and then Westmoreland is basically sitting on the Macon County and Sumner County border. So those people know each other. They go to church with each other. They see each other on a daily basis. I look for that to be another physical football game.
I think so. Coach Perry's doing a very good job up there at Westmoreland. He and Trey Perry, the head coach at Mount Juliet, are first cousins. And he obviously knows his football, but his team's going to have their hands full. I think playing that game at Westmoreland will help even things out a little bit, giving them the home field advantage. But their secondary better be ready.
Westmoreland, of course, loses by field goal, I think, at Portland the other night. But another game that really people are circling, and that's Upperman on the creek bank at Charleston County.
Some of the people here that helped make all of this show happen were asking me where I'm going to go this week, and I forgot about that game. I may have to go to the Creek Bank on that one because both of them are very good football teams. They showed that last year, and they showed that this past Friday night, too.
White House Heritage at East Robinson, Whites Creek at Glencliff, and then Cheatham County at Harpeth. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 3A games upcoming. Of course, Cascade at Cannon County, their Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week. We'll delve into that a little bit later in the show, but another chance for Cannon County, hopefully to get a W.
I think so. They really need to score and score often against the champions, a team that not that long ago was a single A team. They're playing at the 2A level right now, but they're a much better football team than they were a couple of years ago, and that game's probably going to be a pretty close one.
A big game in Dunlap, and that's Marion County at Sequatchie County. If you've not got an opportunity to see, those two teams don't like each other, Murphy, very much.
No. There's a rivalry there with a capital R, and it goes back a long way. Interestingly enough, it's pretty equal, I think. I know Marion County had kind of made that a one-sided deal in the 90s, but Sequatchie's come back and kind of evened it out a little bit, and I look that one will be a war, a true war between those two.
Looking at Grundy County at Tyner, don't know that that'll be a very close game. Tyner, with all that speed, may give Grundy County trouble. Of course, Grundy lost to Marion last week. And then you've got Nolensville at Giles County. That could be a pretty good football game.
I think so. Nolensville, pretty good football team there. The Tyner Academy team with a new head football coach, Wayne Turner, who was there for so many years, was not rehired, and he's now a coordinator, I think, at East Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken. Tyner's lost because Wayne loved those kids and spent a lot of nights in the locker room. He just worked so hard, so long. On Friday nights after the ball game, it was easier for him to just crash in the locker room instead of going home.
The Moose Marshall way, right?
Very much.
Let's look at Region 5 3A and some of the games. Of course, Smith at DeKalb, a big rivalry game. But I think Coach Trapp's team, especially after last week's game that they didn't get an opportunity to play, I think they'll be anxious coming out of the gate in Smithville.
The phrase chomping at the bit comes to mind.
Yeah.
They're anxious to beat on somebody other than each other.
Maplewood at Mount Juliet, Stratford at John Overton, Stewart's Creek at East Nashville, York Institute at Jackson County, and then Cumberland County at Monterey, some of the other games in Region 5 3A. Now we'll take a look at the Region 4 4A matchups. And when we look at the Region 4 4A games, Murphy, I guess as we kind of wind down this side of the show, of course, the Smith, DeKalb, Macon and Westmoreland we talked about. Livingston at Cookeville. Livingston has given Cookeville a good game or beaten them on occasion in the past, but I know Cookeville's looking to rebound after that poor performance, I guess you could say, against Upperman.
Well, and as you well know, having been on the sideline for so many Owl games when Jimmy Maynard was there, he doesn't care about the rest of the games as long as he beats Livingston, because that's where he played.
Right.
And that's a big one. Livingston with a new coach, Coach Bruce Lamb, has retired. I think his daughter is playing professional basketball in Europe, and he's decided he wants to go watch her play some basketball, and it's a great opportunity for he and his wife. But a lot of those games that are on the screen right now, we've already talked about. The one, again, Upperman at Trousdale County, the one of real interest up there from my point of view anyway.
East Ridge going to Stone Memorial, then Cumberland County at Monterey. Murphy, something that's tugged at on their heart, I guess you'd say, all week, the Waverly football team in Humphreys County, and the loss that they've suffered, not only with lives, Murphy, but unfortunately, their field house and everything's flooded. I saw pictures of that where there's 6-8 inches of mud, and I know Mount Juliet and among other schools have really gone above and beyond to try to help the Tigers program out, and Waverly, just one of those community schools, Murphy, that people take a lot of pride in their high school and their football team.
They've had a lot of misfortune there. Back in the 80s, they had that train wreck. I think shortly before or shortly thereafter, they lost 6 or 8 of their cheerleaders in an automobile accident, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the 80s, I've been told that they had some flooding in Paris at Henry County High School, and Waverly was among the first to come to their rescue and set up funds where donations could be given, gave them some of their surplus equipment, if you will, and Henry County has been responding this week in a huge, huge way as well.
Murphy, there may be some viewers out there that would like to help those folks out. I know you know those people a lot better than I do, but when you look, listen, we're all in this together, and the state of Tennessee needs to bind together and help these folks out.
First Bank locations all across Tennessee. If you've got a First Bank in your community, and we've got about 60 of those or more across the state, they've set up an account for the Tiger Booster Club. The account is in the name of Daniel Dooley, Dooley, who is the president of the Booster Club right now, and that account ends with the numbers 4291. If you'll just walk into a bank that says First Bank and tell him you want to make a contribution to the Tiger Football Club or Tiger Booster Club, they will be more than willing to help you out on that. So let's show the Waverly Central Tigers why we're known as a volunteer state and step up and help that situation. I know there's been an awful lot of loss of life and property, but this is a football show, and their football program has been decimated as well. They want to get back on the field. They scored a big win against Camden last week. Looked like they're going to be a pretty good team under the direction of Coach Bolden, who was at Whitwell when they won a state championship. So let's try and help out that Tiger Football Club.
Let's do that. We'll look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week and kind of delve into that matchup when we return. We'll also get Murphy's matchups. The Guru is going to pick us some scores when we return. As we remind you, you're watching the Box Score, sponsored by Blackwell Realty and Auction and the Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell, located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
Powell and Metals Insurance, in business since 1894, provides knowledgeable and personal service to our clients. One call puts you in touch with a local agent who will help you shop from a variety of top companies. At Powell and Metals Insurance Agency, we work for you. Call today or visit us online anytime.
We are here to help you. Let us show you what customer service is all about. Give us a call today.
The Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition encourages our teenagers to be the positive influence. Stand against the epidemic of opioid and stimulant usage by joining the Youth Coalition #TakeBackTeam. 6% of Smith County students reported misusing prescription drugs. The #TakeBackTeam challenges you to stand outside the stack. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair, our title sponsor being Blackwell Realty, the Josh Kirby team. And Murph, we're going to kind of delve into a game that I know you're very interested in because you've been a resident of Cannon County, and that's the Lions taking on the champions, Cascade at Cannon County, coming up on Friday night.
Interesting, we got a little bit earlier. I guess that's the TV start time, 6:45.
Correct.
Kickoff probably 7 o'clock.
Right.
But we've got some more stats. I didn't realize those two schools have played each other as many times as they have. But it's a pretty long, deep history, I guess, between those two. But a very pivotal game for both of those teams too. I think both of those teams in need of some momentum, maybe especially by Cannon County Lions. And it would certainly help the cause a great deal if they could come away with a win that night, tomorrow or Friday night.
Murphy, when you're looking at these two teams, searching for confidence, needing a win, Cannon County, I think, went winless a year ago. So Coach Matt Daniel, I know he's telling his team, hey, we're playing at home. You know, we've got DTC TV here, which is a big deal.
Sure.
You know, we need to come out enthusiastic. You know, Cannon County has made it more of an event now. When you go over there, they tailgate and make it a big thing to go to the football game in Woodbury on Friday night.
Yeah, and they've got the horses to do it this time around, I think, and they just need to all be on the same page. And I know I'm not telling them anything that Matt hasn't already and the rest of the coaching staff hasn't already told them. A win would certainly do huge things for that program this early in the season.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the series history. You know, it began back in 1983. This year marks the 18th meeting. Cannon County, kind of surprisingly, leads that series 9-7. Of course, we had no score there in 86 that we could find. Longest win streak, 4 by Cannon County back in the late 80s up to 90. And then when you look at Cascade, you know, they had 41 points back in 2011, 2012, and then Cascade has won 3 of the last 4 matchups, and I think they won a year ago. No. Did they play last year? I can't 100% sure. They played in the last couple of years because I know in talking to the people at Woodbury, that was a kind of a star game that they thought they may have a chance at.
One of those games that they thought they could win. And with Cascade having won 3 of the last 4, I know Coach Tyre very well. He's a veteran, really good guy who does a lot for that program over there. I'll tell you a little story. Kenny Parker, who coached there for so many years, they roasted him when he resigned not too long, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. And when his wife got up to speak, she talked about how meticulous he was about cleaning, about mowing and fertilizing and everything, the football field. It always looked great, yet his yard was always in need of being mowed. So finally, she got tired of preaching about it and went down to the local paint store and got a few cans of spray paint and spray painted the front yard to look like a football field. And as soon as he came home from work that day, he got the mower and mowed the yard. That's all it took. Sorry, Kenny.
Pretty good story there, Murph. Let's go ahead and look. We've got Murphy's matchup as the guru doing some picking, and Murph, fire away. Gordonsville at Watertown.
Didn't do so well last week. I barely was over 500 on the games we picked here. That one's tough. I think maybe the home team advantage probably favors Watertown in that one. But I've got a little blue in my blood, so I'm going to have to go with Gordonsville on that one.
Okay, Smith County playing at DeKalb County this week, traveling up to Smithville.
Yeah, DeKalb County's done very well at the 4A level. Yeah, I think, again, the home team, probably the favorite in that one. I'm going to have to go with the Tigers in the DeKalb game.
Great, our Huff and Puff Trucking game of the week. Cascade traveling to Woodbury to take on Cannon County.
I'm a homer. Got to go with them Lions.
All right, let's go ahead and look at some more picks from Murph Man. These are more of the state variety, and Murphy, of course, White County and Warren County not been able to play because of COVID. That I'm not saying it sets you back, but it's something that everybody, I don't care where you play football in the state of Tennessee, COVID is a reality.
It is, and that's another one of those where the rivalry between those two, that's like saying the Carthage-Gordonsville game is not going to be played this year because of COVID. There's a lot of disappointed people in the fact that that's not going to be played.
Oakland, big game. They're playing, going to Mississippi and playing Madison Ridgeland, and Murphy, when you look at that, that's a game you can view.
It is. It's the ESPN National Game of the Week. As I understand it, it's supposed to be, I don't know which ESPN network, but it'll be Saturday at 2 o'clock, and Madison Ridgeland has won a ton of football games over the years. They're kind of like the Brentwood Academy of Mississippi, and Oakland will have their hands full, but I think Oakland comes away with a win in that one. Kevin Creasy just has too many weapons.
Tullahoma at Coffee County, the Coffee Pot.
The Coffee Pot Bowl, as it is known over there, and that's a tough one to call, but John Olive's football team at Tullahoma ran the table during the regular season last year, and I have no reason to believe that they beat a very good Shelbyville team last week, and I think Tullahoma probably gets Coffee County again.
A game that Murphy Fair may be attending and all his entourage, and that's the Upperman Bees at Trousdale County, two teams that's really enjoyed a lot of success over the last few years.
You know how difficult it is to go to the Creek Bank and win a football game, but I think that's probably what Upperman's going to do. They've just got some incredible coaching over there, and the school is growing so fast. We don't even hardly recognize the Upperman Bees under Adam Kane as opposed to previous coaches. I think they're going to have a very good football team again this year.
You know, the one thing that Coach Kane brought to him from Sequatchie County, Murphy, was a physical brand of football. Upperman was always known for 5 wides, spread it, try to get you in one-on-one matchups. And yes, Ben Heron was fairly successful with that. But I think Coach Kane, with that play physical defense, play a physical running style offense, those kids have bought in, and I think it's taken them to another level.
Before he came to Sequatchie County, most of his coaching had been at small colleges. A little bit of a trivia, you know where Coach Kane went to high school?
No.
Macaulay.
Wow.
It doesn't really fit that bill a whole lot, I don't think, but a really good guy and a really good football coach, and I think the Bees may sting the Yellow Jackets Friday night.
It'd be a big ball game. Of course, you know, Trousdale County got to have confidence, though, with that win in Pumpkintown.
Yeah, after beating Friendship Christian, and that's no easy task either, but I still think the Bees come away with a win in that one.
Well, Murph, that about puts the wrap on another show. Enjoyed working with you as always, and always looking forward to it, week after week.
Good luck with your broadcast later in the week.
Well, hopefully that'll go well. I know that I'm anxious, nervous, but anxious for sure. And we want to remind you, you've been watching The Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Kirby team.